We really wanted to speak to the people who are building these protocols themselves and talking about their standard journey. And so with that, this is why we called it Patchwork, because as early software began with these, the original patch was very physical. Early programmers were literally taping these punch cards over to these systems. It wasn't elegant, but it worked, and that was what was necessary. And then came the diff and patch, and really that changed everything with Unix formalizing the idea that change itself could be systematically tracked and complex systems could be rebuilt, not having to do it from scratch. And that made collaboration and version control possible. But today the stakes are no longer just about, patching up programs. When everything is software, patching becomes the way civilization evolves. And so as AI becomes our infrastructure, the interesting shift is that patching really becomes a matter of governance. And so, because not only now is our lives fully digital, AI is everywhere. And so this is why Michael, Casey, and I, when we came together, we were thinking, AI has, when we're talking what's really needed right now for this moment, our realization was that AI has broken our patching model. Agentic systems don't always stay inside the boundaries we designed for them. They can act autonomously. They can invoke other agents. They can cross clouds. They could move between vendors. And they're making decisions, if programmed correctly, they're making decisions faster than we can actually control them. And so when execution environments become distributed, they become autonomous, we can't rely on our old ways of simply just patching with logs and contracts or these kind of trust assumptions from hyperscalers and from tried and true vendors of this kind of SaaS model that we're with. And so what we need is cryptographic guarantees of what has happened, who has acted, and what has changed. Because without that, governance becomes guesswork and it becomes a risk for systemic failure. And that is what we are all worried about. And is if you cannot verify who acted, what data moved, and why a decision was made, you cannot safely deploy agentic AI at enterprise scale. And this is why Michael and I came together to co-found with Nelson Rosario, Advanced AI Society. Our vision is to enhance an AI economy where people, communities, and enterprises have choice, they have control, and they have agency. And our mission is to accelerate adoption of AI solutions that offer greater control of the AI stack. And really, the control is the operative word here that we all need. And this is, understandably, there's a lot of fear and fear mongering also around AI. But what we believe is this, missing technology, and what we've seen coming from the space of just the decentralized world is this missing technology called proof of control AI. And this has been developed by all these incredible vendors. Many of these protocols who you'll hear from today, but it's a new category of technologies that delivers the guarantees we truly believe that what every AI system needs. And those three foundations it's quite simple. We all know about it, but it's not something that is consistent and possible, mathematically possible, which is one is privacy. We want portability and we want verifiability. And our point of view is that this is just a non-negotiable starting point. Of course, there are many other factors that give you greater control, but if you do not have all three of these, you don't have control. And without control, you cannot patch, you cannot govern, and you cannot scale. And so part of this reason we founded this Advanced AI Society is that we wanted to identify who are the leading members, the leading vendors offering proof of control. And so our founding members offered this proof of control. We just started this quarter, but these are the early members that we've vetted and identified as leading and augmenting this hyperscaler AI stack. And what we really realized, the reason why this was a moment needed for this industry association and how we've even come to this event, is that breakthrough technologies only scale when the industry aligns. And we've seen this happen a few times historically. And let's just say the last 20 years, we saw this with fabless chips, with the Global Semiconductor Association, when people thought everyone had to have their own factory for making chips, and NVIDIA clearly has proven us wrong. And then we saw this with what Linux Foundation has done with open source. And we see this with Cloud Security Alliance, where, for both these last two shifts, it was almost unfathomable that enterprise would move into an open source environment and off-prem. And so this is why we believe that advanced AI society proof of control is this next set of technologies that needs market activation, and it needs to have representation to name it, to legitimize it and give it a space so that it's easy for the enterprise to understand it and to implement it. And for us, this is super important that we really talk to enterprises, because enterprises have a set of risks that are quite unique. The misaligned AI protocols put revenue, compliance, and continuity at risk. And so, this is why, for us, in order to really make sure that we can accelerate proof of control into the AI stack, of course, all of humanity needs this, every person, every family, every community. But we're really focusing and starting on enterprise because of the scale of what could happen when you don't have control. And so, as you can see on the slide, there's a few things that happen when you don't have that. There's breaks in revenue, you have compliance exposure, you have outages that you cannot diagnose or contain. And as you see from the last few outages, it just cascades. And early adoption hardens into these multi-year vendor lock-ins, and architectural debt freezes and really kills strategic optionality. And so for us, standard choices become central to this, because if they become irreversible, they become these business constraints that are very difficult to do, and it becomes too difficult to like actually shape it. And this is why we created the event Patchwork. Patchwork exists to synchronize the people who rarely sit in the same room: the enterprises, architects, the protocol engineers, the standard leaders, the cryptography builders. We're bringing together for the first time these communities in one place, because historically it's been like the enterprise developers are over here in one room, and the other cryptographic builders are in the other room. But to create this new standard, we really need everyone in the same room to surface the gaps, the collisions, and the opportunities, something that not any one single group can do. And we're really at this moment where we can't afford to be operating separately. And I just want to, on the next slide, to show we were going through the incredible Luma invites, and it was so thoughtful, the registrants. And one of the questions we asked, is what is the greatest need right now? And I want to shout out to Parag Jain, who says, who's security at VP of Security and Business Systems at Picaro. On the slide, he said, without consistent ways for agents to authenticate, interact, and access information safely, every integration becomes custom and hard to scale. So we need to also think about cross-platform interoperability, so agents and tools can work together reliably and have clear auditability standards to ensure trust and compliance. And closing these gaps is essential for deploying in real enterprise environments. And so with that, this is exactly why we made Patchwork, because once you accept that proof of control is required for agentic AI, you realize that you need a new set of technologies that will run alongside and augment the current hyperscaler stack. It's not about replacing it. It's not about getting rid of it. It's just saying which ones are interoperable. What are this new set of technologies? And that's why standards and protocols and spec development become central to governance for enterprises. So we're really excited to present to you the leading, not only thinkers around this, but actual leading developers and implementers from the enterprise side and from the cryptography side. And so with that, I want to be able to say this is the first of our events as we're soft launching, but we have an upcoming event, and I want to invite my co-founder, Michael Casey, to come up and just have you all save the date before we launch into the program. And Michael, if we have a minute, could you give us this impassioned, as you usually do, view on why is this so important to have this summit as a follow-up?
Yes, thank you, Tricia. And the congratulations and everything. Thanks to all of the partners who've come together to make this happen. It's such an important undertaking, and I'm just really overwhelmed with all the work that's gone into it. Like if we can just pull that slide up for this summit, I think it's an interesting way to frame where this is going. Like I always feel like my role in this stuff is to sort of take it's out of the weeds and to the 30,000. I'm much more comfortable up there at the 30,000 foot level. You guys are all building these incredible tools and protocols and figuring out the stuff that really matters at the bottom to make it work. But I think it's useful for us to step back and look at what is the end goal here. What is the entire mission here? And we hear a lot about humans in the loop, about AI that is safe and reliable, and the conversation always gets back to how it's serving humans and not serving some sort of like horrible overlord or whatever. And that's all sort of like to me it feels like sort of just broad conversation. And what it really needs to be is anchored in something very real. And so there's a very, I think, powerful connection between the idea of establishing proofs of personhood and basically verifiable credentials around the authority of a human, both as an individual, but most importantly for the context of this conversation, as officers and representatives of the companies and institutions that are participating in these sorts of projects. And at the same time, the stack of technologies that are going to enable safe, scalable, interoperable, privacy preserving, and portable, all the things that Tricia was talking about, AI agentic systems. So this summit that we're holding on February 23rd, which is in conjunction with Linux, this is the Linux Members Summit, is happening at this time. This is going to be in Napa at the Silverado Resort on February 23rd. That should say 2025. So let's make sure we don't go back in time. We go this. That should be actually 2026, in fact. But in any case, it is this coming February 23rd. This is this new organization called H2H. H2H is developing technologies that give people the capacity to spin up proofs of personhood that are non-biometric and proofs of their relationships with other people in a way that allows that collective of people to control that social graph. And we see this as an important sort of anchoring of human authority in the AI agentic age. So we have this event will be an opportunity to explore the interface, the interconnection between that and all of the proof of control technologies that the Advanced AI Society is developing. Because at the end of the day, what we're looking for here is not just a world in which AI agents can interoperate and scale and build and operate what I would say within the sort of principles of the open internet that we all, I think most of us still believe in, that there is access for everybody and that that's a competitive environment and interoperable environment, and that that's where the greatest amount of innovation happens. But not only that that is available, but that it is all rolling back to, at some point, the authority, the delegated authority of a human who has control over their data, control over the agent, and control over their relationships, not only with each other, but with the companies that they represent. And in my mind, if we bring these things together, the agentic AI protocols and standards that enable all of this interconnectivity to function in an open, fair, and accessible way with the sort of first person projects, personhood credential structures, I think then we get the idea of an AI future that is in the service of the greater good.
And we'll
So
hear from Drummond Reed of the
I was
First
just
Person
going to say, yeah,
Project and the
Drum,
identity portion.
exactly. Drummond's going to give us some details on the first person project, which is the open protocols. It's actually housed at the Linux decentralized trust, Linux Foundation decentralized trust, and this open source collective of participants have developed this
Great.
technology. So that's where it's coming from.
All right. So to find out more information, you can sign up for our email list, and we'll send you information for save the date. You can use the QR code, or you can also sign up from the chat. I believe our community manager, Angela, will post that. So you can sign up there for updates.